In 1798, Britain was reeling after years of economic recession, crop failures and a long and costly war with France. The revolution in France had just been followed by a rebellion in Ireland. William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge chose this moment to publish a slim volume of poetry called the Lyrical Ballads. In a radical spirit, William wanted to show that ordinary working people were a fitting subject for poetry, worthy of attention, admiration, understanding, and compassion. And human beings just like the poetry reading classes. He also wanted to remind people that the place where he grew up was not just an awesome spectacle for the first intrepid tourists to gawp at, but also somebody's home. About 50 years later, Sarah Nelson, born into poverty and an almost inevitable life in service in Bowness, moved with her family into Church Cottage in Grasmere, which was rented by the Church of England only to poor and needy families. Her husband became the local gravedigger and she the housekeeper at Dale Lodge. Luckily for them, at the height of the Victorian tourist boom in 1854, she lighted on the secret of Grasmere gingerbread and was able to leave service and focus on her new business. Another 50 years on, the Liberal Party swept to power and started to pave the way for the welfare state, eventually established by the Labour government in 1945. Its aim was to wipe out poverty and hardship. Over the past year, we've been meeting and listening to local people who have struggled to make ends meet for many different reasons. In addition to the fuel poverty and food poverty faced countrywide and deepened by the cost of living crisis, they face the rural poverty premium, estimated at about £2,000 a year, and a toxic combination of higher than average housing costs and lower than average wages. Even public transport is subsidised 10 times more per head in London than it is in South Lakeland, even though so many people here live in communities that the banks and other services have deserted and travel is essential. The ramifications for health, education, employment, life chances and even life expectancy are clear. Is it any wonder that so many young people move away, leaving friends and family behind? None of this is new, but that doesn't make it tolerable. In 1908, Labour MP Will Cook said, "Here in a country rich beyond description, there are people poor beyond description." Has anything really changed? In October 2020, South Lakeland District Council looked at the data about children growing up in poverty in Windermere, Ulverston and Kendal and unanimously declared a poverty emergency. This was, they said, a step towards tackling the root causes of poverty and inequality in our areas. And that paved the way towards the South Lakes Poverty Truth Commission, which started work just over a year ago, funded by local government and the NHS, because the link between poverty and poor health is so clear. Most of the people we've spoken to have had help from the 30 or so community food groups that have grown up over recent years to support people all over South Lakeland, from Ulverston to Kirby Lonsdale and Coniston to Grange. The vital work of groups like these goes back over 20 years to when the founders of Manor House first started distributing food to the homeless in Kendal. They would all prefer not to have a need to meet.